Alright, so finally got my hands on Stifled, a brand new sound-based horror game. Now, this game is available on PS4 and it's also available on Steam. But the best part about this game is the fact that it's also playable in VR. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Is this game fun? Most importantly, is it worth the money? Well, let's find out. Alright, let's start this off with the aesthetic. Now, when this game starts up, it's pretty average. I mean, the graphics in the normal world are decent. Not great, but pretty standard even compared to many early VR games. But thankfully, that is not the main draw of this game. Funny enough, the darkness is where the real magic happens. Thanks to the game's framework, the main gameplay mechanic here is using sound to create sound waves that wash over all the scenery, creating a wireframe-like world, something out of an early arcade game. It's simple, but honestly amazing to look at. And speaking of sound, how is the overall soundscape? I mean, since the graphics are based off of it. Well, it's honestly pretty impressive. Noise completely fills the area, even when it's supposed to be dead quiet. Water drops and waterfalls not only provide a great ambience in the sewers, but this is all accented with a very unnerving soundtrack. Again, like the graphics, it's simple and quiet, but at the right moments, it definitely heightens the tension in certain areas. Well, that is until you begin to hear the screams and cries lurking in the sewers. Overall, the aesthetic is rather simple, and it's definitely going for that. But through the simplicity, fear begins to rear its head and begins to overcome you, because even though you can't see the outline of everything, you're still in pure darkness. Now, next up, let's talk about the plot. Well, like most horror games of this style, the plot is given through context clues the player finds throughout the game. Now, while I will not spoil the plot, I will say this: it's pretty okay. It's not original by any means, and to be honest, it wasn't really the main reason to play the game. The pacing was fine, and overall the themes were really dark. But that's not the reason I kept playing. No, that would definitely have to be the gameplay. Now, if you've seen the trailers of this game, you basically get the gist of what to expect, but that changes when you play it yourself. The game focuses on a simple game mechanic. You must create noise to be able to see where you're going through echolocation. And the best part about this is that you don't even have to use a controller the whole time, but if you have access to a mic, you can even talk to create sound around you. It's completely optional, because in-game a button press can create the same effect, but it's honestly better this way. But besides all that, it seems pretty simple enough. You use sound like you would a flashlight, but then the game begins to throw enemies at you. Enemies that can only sense you through sound. It creates a level of strategy of whether you should risk being caught or move blindly throughout the level. Oh yeah, and if you get caught, that's it. One-hit deaths. So definitely move slowly and use sound to your advantage, whether it be attracting an enemy with your voice to a location and then moving, or using an assortment of throwable objects to lure enemies away. Now, on top of all of that, the final thing I want to talk about is you can play this game on a TV screen or a VR headset. But I must say, the best way to play this is definitely in VR. Not only giving you more mobility to peek around corners, but also to completely immerse yourself in the dark underground. Alright, now onto my final thoughts. Essentially, this game is just one large sewer level, segmented with plot points. Usually I would say that sounds terrible, because who the hell likes a sewer level? But thanks to a unique art style and a very clever gameplay mechanic, this game rises above being a simple indie game, and joins the ranks of being one of the best horror games of this year. It has tension, thrills, and a dark story. But most of all, it was a pretty cool experience. Well, that's the review. And now, let's get to the most important question. Is it worth the money? And at retail, $20. It's kind of hard to say, because this game, it only took me about 2.5 to 3 hours to beat. And granted, I was just streamlining it, so it might take you longer. But even after all said and done, even with a short experience, I'd say probably yes. Definitely wait maybe for a sale, but even like at 20% off, I still would recommend this game. I mean, this game was a lot of fun. It has a really cool, unique, gameplay mechanic to it. But overall, it was actually a pretty horrifying experience. Like, not scary, like, jump scares. I mean, if you get caught, just, obviously jump scares. But this one definitely, rides that tension, and it just keeps building and building. And it's mostly because of you, the character. The more noise you make, the more uneasy you'll feel. And I personally just really enjoyed this game. So, yeah, for $20, if you've already paid for it, at least the way I did, yeah, I feel definitely justified. But, if you definitely are not 100% on it, I'd say definitely wait for a sale. But it is a damn good experience, and I highly recommend playing this game in VR. Regardless, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later.